Hey everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Authors and Dragons Side Quest, the thing we do when we're not doing the game for which the podcast is named. I am Drew Hayes, and joining me today are the familiar voices of Rick Gualtieri, Robert Bevan, Steve Wetherill, and Ben Robinson of the Geeksploration podcast. Say hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy,
Everybody.
Oh, we should have harmonized that like a
Stooges.
a cappella group or something.
Barbershop quartet.
Yeah.
We went very different cultural touchstones there.
We should have harmonized that like a bunch of breaks on a podcast.
Well, an unfamiliar voice to at least those of you for this one, hopefully you might have heard him on other stuff, Scott Meyer, author of things such as Off to Be the Wizard and, oh my god, the new one. You just, oh my head, I looked it up, Jesus. Oh, I'm fucking this up. I'm so sorry.
Thanks for embarrassing the fuck out of us here.
Oh my god.
Better. and I think you called it a very special episode. It sounds like you're going to intervene because I have a drinking problem. The after school special.
The authority.
And here's Scott Meyer, who writes shit.
Yes.
So hello. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So sorry we're so bad at this already.
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, man. So, Scott, why don't you tell us about yourself, what you do, what you write for the few folks on there who might not have happened to have stumbled across you?
How did you start with heroin?
Start with my long downward spiral. Oh, I've tried it all. Smack, crack, smank, everything. No. Actually, I just accidentally quoted the TV show Ed. Anyway, now you see I'm just as bad at this as you are. My name's Scott Meyer. I'm an author, mostly humorous science fiction. My most popular books are the Magic 2.0 series, starting with Off to Be the Wizard. And it's up to the sixth book, which is my most recent book out, called The Vexed Generation, available on Audible and Amazon. Thank you. And other than that, I live in Phoenix, and my air conditioner is my most prized possession because it's actual life support when you live in Phoenix. It's not a luxury.
As a Texan, I hear you.
Yeah. Humans were not meant to live in this portion of the country.
My most prized possession is my life support system. Yeah, that's some good priorities, actually. It's quite healthy.
It's practical.
It makes a good point. Well, joining us today also is, again, Ben Robinson of the Geeksploration podcast, who's going to run us through a very fun game. We did a version of it at Authors and Dragons Con 2019. We might do it again at Authors and Dragons Con 2020, Nashville, Tennessee, August 14th to 16th. So, Ben, why don't you run us through the rules and, of course, plug your own podcast and stuff while we're here.
Yeah, surely. Thanks for having me back. As he mentioned, I'm the host, one of the two hosts of the Geeksploration, the podcast. And we just started like a new thing on our off week, not called Side Quest, that where we talk for like a much shorter period of time about whatever's going on in the geekosphere as opposed to diving into a topic. So go find that. Today we're going to be playing a game called Cheat Your Own Adventure. It is basically a choose your own adventure collaborative storytelling game. The rules are very simple, and it basically leans on us to do everything. So just like when you were a kid reading through Choose Your Own Adventure novels, when you hit a dead end, we are going to go back to the last decision and cheat until we reach the good ending. Mechanics-wise, basically the game has ascending levels of difficulty starting at 1. At the beginning of the game, someone will kind of set up the scene, the first page of the Choose Your Own Adventure novel, at which point it will kick over to the other team, who will give 3 options, as are usually at the bottom of the page. Whoever was the reader, essentially, for the last section will choose which one he wants, and then the player who got their option chose will roll 2 d6s. If they roll lower than the current difficulty, it is a bad ending where you die, because we are telling the story of you, the listener. If they roll lower, it's a good one, and the game keeps progressing. If you die, then the reader gets to pick a from one of the remaining 2 options, and it goes with that one. It's an automatic success, no dice roll needed. It goes up to 12 difficulty, because that's as high as 2d6 go. And it should be fun. Does anyone have any questions?
Not yet.
Let's just say potentially.
Well, I guess let's go ahead and pick teams.
How do we want to roll for this, I guess? We're going to do what? 3 teams of 2?
Well, let's do 2 teams of 3, because then it'll go back and forth easily enough, and everyone will get to do an option for the 3 options at the end.
Okay.
How about everybody roll 2d6? The 3 highest go to one team, the 3 lowest go to the other team.
All right, and I'll do one for Scott as well.
Thank you.
I'll do my roll.
As a guest, I'm not made to dirty my hands with dice.
That's right, we put some fanciness when you're at Authors and Dragons.
That's right.
Klaus Richter rolls an 8.
Wrong game.
Oh, shit.
Drew also rolls an 8.
All right, I got a 6.
Rick Gualtieri rolls a 10.
Steve Weverill rolls a 3.
And Scott Meyer rolls a 5.
Wait, Steve, you rolled 1d6.
Oh, just pretend I rolled 2.
Yeah, well, that works out anyway.
You just didn't want to be on my team.
So it looks like it'll be Steve, Scott, and I on one team, and Bob, Drew, and Rick on the other.
Oh,
So basically, Drew, and then whatever one, Rick or Bob, you label us as.
yeah, this is kind of, I basically have one person, like, wearing 2 names.
It's a handicap match.
Scott's bald too, isn't he?
Yes, I am.
All right.
What?
They're not going to know the difference between any of us.
There's a running joke that people have trouble telling Rick and Bob apart, and since it started, it almost seems like the universe is playing along.
Yeah, it gets weird sometimes.
Yeah, man, we could have just gone hair versus no hair.
That
Let's not
seems
start everyone out with a
discriminatory.
bummer.
Yeah.
Some of us are at a transition point.
And yeah, you have hair. Takes you longer to get out of the house in the morning. It's a terrible disadvantage, I know.
Well, look, some of us are going through the in-between times and don't want to talk about it.
Steve would have been on your team, but he would have known deep down that he didn't belong.
All right, and then the next big question, who has to start? Because I don't think anyone wants to.
Our team will start, and I'll get it rolling for kicking things off. And I think we'll just go with just a real classic fun fantasy setup to get things rolling. So you, the protagonist, are having a day. It's a nice one. You're strolling down the sidewalk, and you come upon what appears to be some sort of a fire. It's out. It's done. It's nicely finished up. There's some strapping heroic firefighters nearby who are handing over the last assistance. Just some real tough, real badass looking guys, to be perfectly honest. You're like, those guys could probably fuck some stuff up. And as you're kind of standing there admiring the firemen for, maybe a not polite long time, this is still society, don't stare, you notice a shining light flickering near one of them right as they happen to step away into camera. And you definitely not trying to grab some firefighter ass, happen to be right nearby, leaning in. And as you do, there's a flash of light, and you step out into a lush green field. And you hear the voice behind you, "Thank you, O glorious hero. You have been summoned to..." Oh, shit, who are you? This feels like a good what do you do point. That's right, it's an isekai, but you're not supposed to be the one.
But a nice homoerotic start to it. I appreciate it.
All right, so to announce very confidently that you are in fact the hero that they are looking for, turn to page 52.
Oh.
I'm going to say, I have no idea. I was looking at a firefighter ass, and then I ended up here. Turn to page 17.
Honesty, perhaps not the best policy. See how that goes.
Steve,
Steve?
you're on that team.
Yeah,
Mr.
okay.
1d6.
All right. Give me a minute.
Two easier ones.
Try and search for the ass of the being currently talking to you. Turn to page 102.
Well done, sir.
Well, I've got to go with what I've been given here.
Yeah, no, that was not sarcasm.
I think so. So, team, my vote goes for Steve. The ass sniffing seems to be the direction this character's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah. If you're gonna look for ass, look for god ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't established if the protagonist is, in fact, a stray dog yet.
Yeah, we haven't established anything. Could be male, female, dog. Could be a living tree. It's all up in the air.
Definitely got some boundary issues.
Are the firefighters still around?
I'm not the one telling the story anymore.
All right,
Now
all
it's
right.
up to Steve.
But Steve has to roll first.
That's true.
That's right.
Yep, you can go ahead and roll. You with 2d6, you have to roll higher than 1. So you're probably
Another
okay.
one.
Ass sniffing will never lead you astray.
I rolled a 7. That's way higher than 1. Okay. So as you emerge into this strange new world, and an ethereal and mysterious voice seems to speak from the heavens, you spin round wildly and said, "Who said that? And what kind of ass you got going on, man?" But as you turn around, you don't see anyone. The fields seem to roll in each direction, uninterrupted, except for a gnarled, mysterious-looking tree and a signpost which goes one of two ways. One way is labeled Destiny. The other way is labeled Not Destiny. So there you go. This is what I'm leaving you with. No asses to see, but a mysterious tree and a not particularly helpful signpost.
All right. Well, I was in the market for hot firefighter ass, and those guys seem to have gone somewhere else. So, I have a plan. You have a plan.
Slope those shoulders.
Immediately shifting the blade.
It takes on an accusational tone after a while.
You, the protagonist, have a horrible idea.
You monster.
You want to bring those firefighters back, and there's just one good way to do it. You need to get naked, slather yourself up in like coconut oil or something, and light a building on fire to be rescued. Now, that does not fall under, you need a supermarket, not Destiny.
I'm assuming we're just going to ignore the whole "don't be like John."
Oh, well, I'm listen.
He's been
You follow the not Destiny road looking for coconut oil to rub on your body and light a building on fire to attract firefighters. Next.
To just sit down and cry. Turn to page 69.
Oh, mine was page 47.
That was implied.
Yeah.
You're suddenly transported to a medieval world, and it's a magical world, and weird stuff's going on. You need a weapon to tear a branch off this tree.
Turn to page 14.
Ooh.
So now do we discuss which one, or does just one member of the team pick what they want to do?
It's Steve's choice ultimately, but you could if you have a strong favorite, you can let him know.
Yeah, team discussion is certainly encouraged.
I'm of the mind that, the first thing you do when entering a strange place is destroy something. Just to assert dominance, I
There are
guess.
two options there.
Well, yours is a bit more elaborate. Yours is more like engage in society in a really specific way.
It's like when you go to prison, you punch the biggest, strongest guy in the face first. What's bigger and stronger than a tree?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, when you go to tree prison, you punch the biggest tree there. Yeah, I'm sure that makes sense if I drink for long enough. Any other weighing in on this? Any strong feelings on this, guys?
I was going to lean tree myself.
All right, let's lean on that tree. Okay, we're going to go with Drew's and fuck up this tree.
All right. You grasp your human hands. Oh, adding detail. Exposition. Wait. Let's see if we succeed. I got a 5. Does that pass?
Oh yeah, you're only at 2 now.
Okay. You grasp your human hands around the tree and you yank violently as it begins to howl. You bastard! But, I mean, I succeeded on the roll, so tough shit, tree. You dig a foot down and snap a big old one off, and now you have a quarterstaff and an angry tree. A quarterstaff and an angry tree. As it begins to, you're supposed to help! Oh, God! Do you know what that was on me? As you are admiring your quarterstaff and trying to ignore the, a whining of the tree, you hear a distant sound of thundering wings? Not birds. No, birds don't move that fast. Oh, that's bees. Oh, that's a lot of big bees. That's a lot of big bees. And they are roaring down from the tree's branches. It is really mad about whatever piece you tore off. So you tear off again, running in a different direction, sprinting along neither the destiny nor the not destiny, but just straight back away from the tree. You see in your distance some mountains and bogs, but there also appears to be music coming from another direction. And of course, there are bees chasing you, so you might want to do something about that. But hey, that sounds like your problem now.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love how we've really slapped Destiny in the face here.
That's right.
Like, quite quickly.
Destiny made us an offer, and we said, no, thank you, sir.
We ripped his arm off and ran in the opposite direction.
That's right.
Hopefully his arm.
So now we come up with options. So I'll, cool if I step forward?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so for option A, which is to try to get rid of the bees by running into the bog and diving headfirst into what appears to be mud, you hope, go to page 19.
So suddenly you remember that all worker bees are male, and you're holding a large shorn phallus in your hands, at least as best as you can estimate. So you figure that your best course of action is to hold it high, scream, and try and intimidate these bees into flying the other direction. To do so, turn to page 104.
You're a simple man with simple needs. You've got your tree dick. I guess it's the next best thing to firefighter ass. But you're hearing music, and if you haven't got ass, then music's probably the best place to find it. So to go on a booty hunt, turn to page 97.
I like to point out this is the second time Steve has used hunt for ass as his option.
Okay. Again, I'm holding you entirely responsible for that.
He's just being true to the character.
Yeah.
I think for this one, I'm definitely leaning toward jumping into the mud to escape the murderous bees rather than run toward music or try and fight them. What about you guys?
I don't know. Well, yeah, I guess so. The phallus thing, I thought he was going in a different direction, but then he said fight them. Like, I thought maybe these are gay bees or something, and you could, like, seduce them or, like, go console the queen or something. But, yeah, all right, jump in the mud.
Well, that's disappointing.
Even if I don't know if the tree organ is going to be the right tool for that. You know what? Let's not dive deeper into it.
Do bees have cloacas?
How do you fuck bees? Exactly.
Well, if anyone can figure out, it's Robert Bevan.
Scott, we are gonna go with jumping in the mud. Take it away, sir.
All right, go ahead and roll. We'll roll for you here.
Yes.
Yeah, that is an 8. So
Well above 3.
This is going to be. It's not going to kill you. At least I don't know about successful, but it's not going to kill you.
Oh, success is not an option, my friend. So, you're running, you're waving the tree's severed phallus in your hand. You run towards this bog that appears to be on the edge of a swamp that is full of trees similar to the one you just destroyed, the one you just mangled severely. And the bees are gaining on you with every step. And you run, holding the tree's severed phallus out in front of you, like almost like wings on an airplane. And you go headfirst into the mud, which turns out not to be as deep as you hoped. And you slide in a very slick layer that's about, we'll say, 3 inches deep of mud. So you're covered with mud, and that does keep the bees at bay. They stop immediately and hold back. But one of the other trees at the corner turns around and says, "This is your first time to the land of the sentient trees, clearly. I don't understand why you chose to visit our latrine first." It seems to be the direction we're going. So
you can leave it there if you want. And
I think I'm going to leave it there.
Basically, you just wanted to end at a spot that is, what do you do now?
Exactly.
That is very much a what do you do now spot we're in there. Yeah.
Yes, it's a quandary we've all faced.
Yeah.
All right, I got it. You're going to pretend you didn't hear that. You're going to stand up, hold the tree branch out from your crotch, and just, pretend you're one of them.
Pretend you're a tree flasher.
No, well, I mean, they have their branches out too.
We assume.
It wasn't stated, but
I mean, it was right there, grabbable. I mean, it was the first obvious thing to hold on to. So
That's true. But we don't know what that tree was doing before you showed up. It was like
There was a
the
reason he was
bathroom
by
break,
himself.
and you just popped
my
in.
choice stands. Page 4. Next.
All right. You say, "Delivery, Graham. Delivering those bees you ordered." That's it. That's my pitch. Rip.
Well, as the trees have already implied that others have done this, set off to find other of your brothers, others covered in tree shit. Turn to page 14.
Okay, and now I get to choose of these wonderful options. Yes. I think any reasonable person would probably just slink away into the night if possible, but we aren't here to be reasonable people. I choose to stand up proudly, put the severed tree phallus in place of my own, and say, "Hello, brothers. I am one of you visiting from afar."
Hello, fellow tree people.
How do you do, fellow tree?
I'm just like you, except covered in shit.
it's such a nice day to have a large tree penis, isn't it?
As you can see, I too am fully erect. Please direct me to the nearest tree ass.
Are you looking at my treeness?
There's our winner.
All right.
I would have accepted wood, but trainers for the win. Well done.
All right. Now that you've fooled these wood. Oh, sorry.
Let's see if he does fool them.
Yeah.
You got to roll above a 4.
Looking for the. There they are. 7.
Gullible trees.
Yes. Now that you've fooled these wood-brained tree beings, you back away, waving your branch just in case any of them get any ideas, and until you get to the less brown water of the bog, or of the swamp beyond the shit bog. You're getting hungry, and you notice fruit dangling from your false phallus. Yeah, I'll leave it there. What do you do?
So, now that you've established that you are indeed a tree person because of your convincing tree person penis, your next move is to now eat the fruit of said tree penis.
Well, I mean, you've escaped from the suspicious tree people.
I don't know. I think they're still watching you.
All right.
Oh god, is Steve's pitch that this is all just being watched by the tree?
No, I mean, I think that's heavily implied.
Hey, you know what? Roll with that. That could be even.
Put it in the pitch.
All right. To not break eye contact with the tree people, as you take the fruit of your tree penis, put it to your lips, go to page 105.
Do we even need to have other options? Let's say to head off back to where the music was playing, where there was hopefully less shit and different phalluses. Turn to page 31.
While being fully aware that the tree people are watching you and not wanting to eat your edible genital warts in front of them, you instead start looking for any sort of small varmint or rodent that you can bludgeon with your tree penis in front of them, then roast and eat. Turn to page 23.
To roast and eat? I thought you just meant to assert dominance.
But that comes before the roasting and eating.
This is my choice.
This is you, buddy.
All right. Would anyone like to weigh in? I've got the option I think I want, but I'm willing to hear arguments.
I would say kill the varmint or eat the fruit, like establish dominance in one way or the other.
Yeah, I kind of like the eat your own dick fruit while staring him down.
Man, I do like that, but I'm still thinking about the firefighters, and if we can light up a fire to roast a varmint, there's some chance they might show up.
I forgot about the firefighters. Continuity.
I did not. All right, I'm going with the firefighters.
By which you mean kill an animal instead of a plane.
Yeah, one thing leads to another.
The very loosely implied firefighters.
I mean, to his credit, you are starting a fire in a forest. This does feel like a potential firefighter situation.
Very least a Smokey the Bear situation.
Oh God, this world's Smokey the Bear.
Smoking hot the bear.
All right. So that was Scott, right?
That was Scott, I think.
Go ahead and roll, and you're shooting for above or below above a 5. But if you want it to be successful.
All right, rolling for Scott.
Please.
6.
Oh, it's getting close.
Woo!
But this is not the end of the story yet.
Okay, so before you can start your fire, you need something to roast. That means actually catching something. You scan the undergrowth. You're aware that the trees are watching you. You can feel all of their woody eyes on the back of your head as you're looking, and you finally do find a small, like a vole. Not even sure what a vole looks like. Picture a weasel, I guess. But so you strike out at it with the only weapon you have, the tree penis, and you start bashing it over the head with the severed tree genitals. You club it unconscious, but it takes two more really vicious whacks to kill it. You hear the tree people screaming in horror, but you just don't care anymore because A, you're sick of them, and B, they're rooted to the ground, so they can't come and bother you over it. So you then take the tree genital, you break it into pieces, and you burn it in front of them to roast your dinner. After dinner, what do you do?
having thoroughly shown these tree people who is boss, and let's be honest, connected with your inner warrior capable of living off the lands, you stalk off into the distance in search of more prey / maybe your way home. There's pretty good TV on tonight, so you go hunting for an exit.
Oh, I love that. It's like you get into a strange new magical world, beat the shit out of a squirrel. My work here is done. Time for me to return home.
To watch TV.
Yeah.
Brutalize not one but two different inhabitants of this world. My work is done.
But it's good place night, so I'm getting back.
Still looking for the firefighters, and also not liking the way these sentient trees are staring at you. If you decide to break off more branches and burn it in front of them just as a silent fuck you, turn to page 99.
Everybody knows that roasted weasel does not attract firefighters, but it does attract leprechauns.
Of course, everyone knows that.
If you wish to share your weasel meat with the approaching leprechaun, turn to page 6.
And this is my choice now?
Yes.
It is.
I think I've been such a terrible person so far. I need to do something to balance my karma. So I think I'm going to offer the passing leprechaun my weasel meat.
All right. Do I roll for this?
You do.
You do.
All right.
And you have to roll above a 6.
Oh, man. Shit's getting real. Oh, no.
Oh, that is a 4. That is a bad ending.
Oh no! How could offering your meat to a random leprechaun possibly go wrong?
I can see how that turns out ugly on you.
So what? Now I have to choose a death.
Yeah. Well, yes. Our heroic protagonist is about to meet their end in one form or another.
Okay.
Yeah, the story, it doesn't have to be a death. Their story could end. They could get sent back because clearly they didn't do what they're supposed to. But you can do
I got something.
whatever you want to end the story.
All right. The leprechaun says, "This weasel meat is undercooked and it tastes like tree shit," and he beats you to death with his shillelagh.
That actually sounds completely reasonable.
I was half hoping he was going to rip your dick off and use it as a weapon.
So far, the leprechaun is like the most reasonable person we've had.
He's still using a wooden implement. He could be hitting us to death with a tree dick.
All right, so now Scott.
Now I have the other two choices.
Yeah, we're going to cheat. We're going to go back to the other two choices and pick the better one.
Let's see, what were the other two choices again? It was start a fire with just tearing parts off of all the various trees, or I'm
Set off
blanking
an
on
exploration of exit / food.
I think you're okay. Trying to be a man of the woods clearly did not work out. So I'm going to go the opposite direction and start searching for the portal back to home, hearth, and sweet firefighter butt.
Sensible.
All right, so having thoroughly exhausted the shit pit's options for food, shelter, clothing, general livability, you begin to trek out into the wilds once more. And by wilds, I mean the rippling plains of this very peaceful-looking world. As you go, you occasionally see more of the tree people. You kind of start steering wide because bees. And you don't know how well these people are holding grudges and whatnot. And as you go, you start to see signs of a city. It's very natural looking. It seems to be kind of formed from the earth, very mounds. You see a lot of the tree folk interwoven through it. But you do start sneaking up because, if there's a way out or food, it's going to be here. And you sneak along, you hear voices, you see little different magical creatures, talking animals and things, and they're all having little discussions. They're gathered up in the center of town. They're around a big circle, and you see a flash of light and a big burly, oh shit, hey, is that a firefighter? Hey, maybe this is a good call afterward. And but you hear drifting on the winds, "Oh, great hero, we have finally summoned one of you. Thank goodness. There's a monster loose in these fields, tearing the limbs and dicks off trees. We need your mighty axe to hunt it down." What do you do?
Shall I go first, or would one of you do
Sure,
it?
yeah. If you got something, go for it.
You immediately pipe up, say, yes, go forth and find this monster, and I will act as your guide and squire. Turn to page 27.
Cunning, I like it. If you want to exhibit basic human awareness and realize that you are the shit-covered monster wandering into town with a severed tree penis, and smartly step into a dark alleyway where you're perchance less likely to be beaten to death by a mob of magical bastards. Turn to page 9.
To quickly hand your tree trophy to the bored-looking leprechaun sitting on the corner and scream, "Look, I found him." Turn to page 48.
Nice.
Oh, I have to try and frame a leprechaun. That's on my personal bucket list. Game context aside.
That'll teach him for not appreciating our semi-raw squirrel meat.
In a different timeline.
How dare you beat a different version of us to death with a tree dick? That's our move.
All right, gonna go ahead and roll here. That's a 5 out of 7. So this,
all right, Ben, give us a bad end.
This might have been a bad plan.
We are not having much luck with leprechauns, let's be fair.
They're getting the better of us.
Looking down in your hands at the wooden shaft, filling them, you quickly look over and shove them into the grasp of a leprechaun that you could have sworn was not paying attention, and say, "Look, I found him. He's there. There is the monster." To which everyone kind of looks at you, thinking, looks at you like you're an idiot. And the leprechaun kind of stands up, and you can see he's got a little sash on that says Meyer. You take a few exasperated breaths and turn to run straight into a rather angry-looking tree person who just smiles at you somehow. You can't see the smile, but you can feel it burning in your soul. Much like the burning of the multiple whacks to your skull that immediately follow this.
That's 2 for the shillelagh.
Yeah. Was the tree in person his question beating his death with his tree penis? I'm just trying to establish a running theme here.
Well, wouldn't you?
Your knowledge of tree anatomy is limited, but kind of smelled like it.
All right, well, framing didn't work, so let's go with deception. Time to be a squire, Scott.
Excellent. So you see, I thought we had burned the tree penis, but clearly no, we still have the tree penis. So you start holding it as if it's a staff, and you say, "Yes, burly firefighter. I know these woods well, as you can tell from the fact that I am covered in mud and have a staff. So please allow me to lead you into many secluded groves and quiet, romantic places where we might discuss the task at hand and possibly find a monster. Sorry, I nearly said tree, but we don't want to kill trees. No, we want to kill a monster who kills trees. And I'm sure we can find them together as long as I am with you and I walk behind you, watching you walk as we go." I haven't really left you much to do there other than listen if he agrees. He agrees. he agrees and asks, what is our first step, noble squire?
To convince the firemen that the best way to find the monster is to disguise yourself as the monster, turn to page 72.
To convince the firemen that the true culprit is a traitor among the tree people, and he must begin carving through them to find it. Turn to page 33.
Am I still in this game, or am I out because I rolled low? Or?
Oh, no, you're still
I
on.
didn't know. Okay.
You didn't get out that easy. Come on.
Yeah. To ask the firefighter if there is a nearby shop where you might acquire some coconut oil. Turn to page 4.
Whole lot of choices there.
Yeah, yes, a full panoply of choices there. I think in order to catch your prey, you must first become your prey. So we must disguise ourselves as tree people, that we may lure the killer out in an effort to murder us. We may use ourselves as bait.
All right.
So we're rolling for a 7 or higher.
An 8 now.
Rolled an 11.
Wow.
All right.
Strong.
You convince the firefighter. It's like, hey, this guy is covered. Whoever this killer is, he's covered in shit and he's holding a tree penis. So you need to do that. So the fireman says, okay, strips off his shirt, jumps in in the mud / tree shit, and emerges, and it still looks a whole hell of a lot better than you. So much so that when he walks into the the forest of tree people with you, there's so much tree penis out there that he has his fill. Or he
This has really gone a direction I did not expect when I agreed to do this podcast.
That's the joy of this thing. You never really know how it's going to go off the rails, only that it's going off the rails.
When you finally leave the forest, you feel quite inadequate, because not only does this fireman look so much better at you, glistening in mud, but he's also carrying 3 tree penises under each arm.
Oh, right. He ripped tree. Okay, I see. Right.
Gifted. They wanted him to touch it. Oh.
Touch it, sure, not pull it off.
Yeah, that's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
He looks at you. He's like, okay, I am a massive tree stud now. Where do we find this monster? And you look around, and you spot a tiny little leprechaun village off in the in the distance. What do you do?
This is surprisingly true to real life. If you're good looking, you can get away with anything. You rip a tree penis off, you're a hideous monster, and everybody wants to destroy you. A handsome guy rips several of them off. I don't know. Now it's sexy, apparently. Who gets to choose this one?
Is it our team? We each.
Yeah, we each now posit a potential path.
Okay, I will go first. If you want to be exceptionally and unreasonably bitter about this firefighter's success in a competition you don't quite know the rules of, and didn't realize you were part of, and didn't realize you wanted to win until just now, if you would like to sneak up behind this studly firefighter and bludgeon him with your own tree penis and say, now who is the king of tree penises? Turn to page 11.
I have a feeling someone's playing to not get their option chosen.
We never know.
That's true.
That's how I tried to play it the first time, and it didn't work.
To strike your best tree pose, look the firefighter directly in the eye and say, "And now we wait." Turn to page 14.
The trick is to have 3 options that nobody wants to pick.
Exactly.
But now you start getting to the point in the game where the first one has a higher chance of failing. So
yeah, true. Okay, so we're all. I like that I've worked this around to where we're fighting to not get to come up with our creative ideas. I've killed the creativity of the group.
oh no, trust me, this definitely happens every game at some point. We're in a weird place. And we're like, oh shit.
Yeah. It's all right. I spend all day doing this. Why am I doing this now for fun? So you look at the leprechaun village, and even though you have a vague memory that in another life or dimension you might have been beaten to death by a leprechaun, or that in a vague other life you might have run afoul of a leprechaun mayor. So you're angry at the leprechauns, and you're frankly a little irritated with this firefighter. So you tell him, well, now I think the best move would be to go down to those leprechauns and ask them if they've seen a monster. And remember, leprechauns respect rudeness. So be as insulting as you can.
Nice.
Turn to page 98.
Well, I want to see how the leprechaun rudeness plays out.
All right, we're rolling for Scott. What's my DC on this one, Ben?
9.
7. Oh. All right, Scott, give us a bad ending.
Another leprechaun bad ending.
Well, the big handsome firefighter marches boldly down into the leprechaun village with his armloads of severed penises and his naked body smeared with what he thought was mud, but is in fact tree feces, or treaces as it is called.
Nice.
And thank you. He walks into the middle of the village and he says, "Listen up, you idiots. I am looking for a monster who's been mutilating trees and smearing himself with their feces. Can you direct me to such a monster?" And the leprechauns look at him, then look at you, lurking off on the side of the village, giggling to yourself. And the leprechauns say, "This poor handsome man has been set up by that bastard." And they fall upon you with their shillelaghs, and they beat you to death.
Gotta admit, totally deserved that one.
Well earned.
I almost feel challenged to make every death leprechaun based, man.
Weirdly, it's been the dice that decided that. The one time we have gotten higher and it wasn't leprechaun based, it worked.
All right, I think some revenge is due against this fireman's good looks. Take it, Steve.
Okay, so walking behind this burly, heroic firefighter, admiring his ass and yet despising him in a bitter conflict of emotion, you take your tree penis and swing it at the back of his skull. Unfortunately, you are out of shape and weak, and all you really do is just kind of glancing blow at the back of his skull. And he turns around and he looks at you and he says, "What the fuck, man?" You say to him, "Look, I don't know what's going on here, but I thought I was the chosen one. And now apparently I'm the tree penis thief monster. And you just waltz in here, taking all the glory." And the firefighter says, "Shh." He puts a finger on your lips. And he says, "You look.
You had me at tree penis.
You think it's easy looking like this? There's a reason I go to the gym like 7 nights a week for 2 hours a week. We've all got our insecurities, and you can't be consumed by bitterness." And he looks deep into your eyes. There you go. What do you do?
All right, I've got it. This gives you an idea. We are clearly both the chosen one. We need to work together. We have these 4 tree penises. We need to come together as one, body against body, hold all the penises out, and let the guilty leprechaun come to us.
You look up to the sky and smile at the beautiful rainbow that's leading far off into the hills and say, you know, I'm pretty sure if you steal a leprechaun's gold, it has to grant you a wish. And I could sure go for wishing myself the fuck out of this place. To chase that leprechaun gold, turn to page 101.
As the firefighter stares deeply in your eyes, you look into his and then scream psych as you uppercut him in the crotch.
This is why there are no men in the romance charts, Rick.
Hence why I'm forced to use a female pen name.
Yeah, but the uppercutting lovers kind of gives it away.
Right, sorry, I've totally forgotten how this works. Who has to choose what goes on here? Who has to
That'd be
choose one
you.
of those options?
Yeah.
Oh, right. You know what? I'm going to take the least. I mean, Bevan, I'm not even sure where you're going with leprechaun summoning there. I'm not even sure how that works. So
I was far less concerned with the leprechauns.
Drew, I'm going to go for yours. It's the least horrific. Let's you and let's say Keith, the firefighter, wish their way out of this topsy-turvy world.
All right, looking for leprechaun gold. Let's see how this goes. What am I rolling for, Ben?
A 10.
10!
Oh.
Nice.
The power of friendship / maybe more. We'll see how this goes. It's still early.
Power of ass.
Together, you and Keith the firefighter run along across the magical land under the rainbow. His glorious axe and your, let's say, bundle of tree penises that you've collected by this point stacked upon your back. Just a bunch of weapons / also a warning. As you roam along, you find yourself overlooking not just a leprechaun place or city, but an embankment, rolling hills filled with clovers, entire little mounds of them like running around talking, heaps and heaps of gold, all in buckets. Oh, there's so much leprechaun and so much gold as you look to Keith and think of all the potential. So what are you going to do?
Looks like we're in leprechaun country, fellas. This could get ugly.
Hey, we're getting near the end game.
So just to make sure I'm picturing this properly, you and Keith are standing on an embankment, and you're looking down at what, a sea of leprechaun gold?
Basically a hobbit town, but with leprechauns and gold.
Ah, okay. So to choose the direct approach, just run down, grab, and try to grab the first pot of gold you find and run away with it. Go to page 97.
I would say to show another moment of self-awareness and rely on Keith's charisma to ingratiate yourself with the leprechaun community and try and find a way home. Turn to page 8.
I think I've used 97 like 3 times already.
I forgot to do it for a whole stretch in the middle.
All right. To thinking back upon your sparse knowledge of Irish lore, you think that to squeeze a wish out of a leprechaun, you have to catch them first. Also, one of the few things you know about the Irish is that they're drunks. To set up a little box with a bottle of whiskey inside of it and hide in the bushes. Turn to page 22.
Always go for the Looney Tunes option.
Our email inboxes are going to be full of complaints from gay Irish arborists.
There's something for everyone in this podcast. That's what I like about it.
I spend all day up in a tree cutting them. I have to come down and listen to this film.
We're going to be Firefighter Podcast of the Month, though. Watch.
Truth.
Okay. Steve, I would love to see that succeed, but I want you to earn it. You got to roll for it.
Rolling 2d6. Ooh, what are we at now?
More than 8.
11. Oh, I rolled an 8.
No, this is not going to
Oh
work.
my god, this is not going to work at all. You look at Keith. You formed a bond. You know, he's seen past your facade of indiscriminate tree mangler and shit-covered ass crapper, and seen the soul within. And when you ask him, Keith, will you please take us home so we can return to our lives? Use your power of being an actual human being and not a bitter, perverted monster like me, and ingratiate yourself with the community of leprechauns, which for some reason I just suspect, like, I don't know, it feels like reincarnation or something, but I just think they don't like me, and this won't end well if I try it. And Keith nods and says, no problem, buddy. And he gets 5 feet into the leprechaun community before they just swarm him and beat him to death with shillelaghs. And then as you're standing there in horror, seeing what you thought might be the potential way out of your sad little life into a normal, healthy relationship, being beaten to a bloody, attractive pulp, the leprechauns look up at you, and you know you're next, and frankly, you welcome it.
Wow, thanks for the depressing existential horror.
That's what I do.
Well, after that, I think we definitely have to follow it up with whiskey under a bomb. Gotta go Looney Tunes to counteract that. Jesus. Whew.
All right. Well, being the respectable member of society you are, you remember you always have a hip flask of whiskey on you at all times, for the trying times, for the fun times, for all the times, really. So you set up you find a little box, you set it up, you throw it under there and tie a little string to it and go hide in the bushes. You and Keith snickering and exchanging loving glances while you wait for your quarry. About an hour or so later, you hear a rustling through the grass and you look over and you see a pretty hungover looking little man in a green tailed tuxedo. He's clearly a leprechaun. He kind of stumbles over and he sniffs the air real quick, looks directly at the box, and just leaps headfirst into it, grabbing the whiskey. You quickly pull the rope, and the box comes down on top of him, and you run out, clasp your hands on top of it, and you say, "Aha! I've got you, leprechaun. Now you must grant my wish." And he goes, "Ah!" He moans in there, and then you hear a few glugs, and he goes, "All right, let's have it."
I'm glad to see that casual racism has won today over diplomacy.
Okay, so to be clear, this is the last one, right? So
This is the final round.
yeah, whatever you pitch, be prepared to spin it into the both bad or happy ending.
It's our team's turn, right?
Yes.
Yep. What are you wishing for?
All right. I lift the box. No, you lift the box, and you grab the leprechaun by the throat with both hands and say, "Give me your lucky charms, you son of a bitch."
I don't know why I expected anything different.
You realize that you've been going about this wrong, taking a distinctly negative view on life. So you realize that there's nothing that brings 2 separate people together, or 3 separate if you count the firemen, together like a sing-along. So you immediately start start belting out a tune. "Oh, I'm a penis jack and I'm okay. I sleep all night and cut off dicks all day."
You want to get home, and you want to put this place behind you, but you're also petty.
Of course.
So you lean in and you say, "I wish for a magic spell that teleported us back where we were supposed to be, while also setting all these trees on fire."
Oh, that'll impress Keith.
All right.
More fire for him to fight.
Yeah. Well, I imagine. That's what firefighters like, right? Just,
Yeah, it's a dream come true for him too.
They get up every morning rubbing their hands together saying, oh, I hope there's a fire today.
I don't want to be unemployed.
That orphanage looks very flammable.
Right next to a kindling factory. Oh, that was poor planning.
Yes.
All right. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'd like to hear the rest of Rick's song.
I don't know. I think it'll just be that same verse getting angrier and angrier.
But I still roll for this, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You have to get a 12 to succeed.
Got an 8.
It's not a 12.
So, inexplicably, you have this leprechaun trapped, and rather than wish to go home, you try this bizarre sing-along. You start singing about, cutting down tree dicks, and trying to get Keith to sing along, trying to get the leprechaun you captured to sing along. And it doesn't work. For after about 3 verses, you look around. You're surrounded by trees. You're surrounded by leprechauns. And then Keith looks at you and says, what we had could have been special, but you had to be a dipshit. He grabs the top of his forehead, unzips his body, and 6 leprechauns step out of his skin, all with shillelaghs, and they just proceed to beat the living shit out of you. The end.
Could have ended no other way. All right, so we got Lucky Charms or really vindictive
Portaling
way
home.
Yeah. Well, we're looking for a happy ending here, and so he's got to get home eventually. So I'll go with Drew on this one. I want to see how it turns out for our hero.
Lucky Charms aren't happy?
Honestly, I got to tell you, I don't like marshmallows in my cereal.
Well, you wouldn't have liked my happy ending at all.
Wow, all the dumb shit in this episode, and that is absolutely what we're going to get destroyed on.
See, my problem with Lucky Charms Rories is there was too much cereal in with the marshmallows. So.
That's where I was going, Scott.
Same.
Have you seen they started putting the marshmallows in Trix and Frosted Flakes? You can get the Lucky Charms marshmallows in all kinds of shit now. It's weird.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. I
think they had Captain Crunch with marshmallows.
Oh,
We had
that
to do
sounds so
an
awful.
entirely cereal orientated podcast, but it will happen.
All right, so down the line. So you make your wish. The leprechaun grumbles. He says, "Fine." You hear mumbling, and then there's a magic cast. A swift wind billows up, knocking the box over, but also blasting you and Keith up into the air, where you see the world below sprawling out. You see, the lands, the magic, the creatures, and then you see the fires as the tree people begin one after the other bursting into flames. But that's not really your problem, because you are teleporting out into another realm, and then you realize, oh no, you sent yourselves back where you're supposed to be, but Keith wasn't near you then. And you come down, and you look around, expecting to see that same burned out building, but you're not there. You're in a hall. There's wood floors and a banner hanging overhead. Firefighter's entrance exam today. Ah, I guess you are where you're supposed to be.
Oh,
And now you know the rest of the story.
You were Keith all along.
That's right.
Dun, dun, dun.
Man, I was going to give you all marshmallow cereal with whiskey for milk. And
I don't know. I like
you passed that by.
as much as I would have enjoyed that. I like Drew's ending. At least has hope.
We don't deserve hope after the horrors we visited upon that land.
You may one day come with hard work and sacrifice the man you sought to sexually assault.
I like it. Some poor disembodied being drew us over there looking for a great hero, and all they got was destruction.
Just summoning randos from outside your world, you're rolling some dice.
You keep wondering why Keith looked at you and was like, I was just like you one, That's because I actually was you.
Become a firefighter. It's just the process.
It's the only reason he put up with your shit.
Yeah.
Because if he killed you, he would die too.
I was once like you, but I turned it around after a bizarre experience in a magical world.
Oh, all right. Well, Ben, thank you so much for GMing that one for us.
Yeah, it's a weird gig, Ben. Well done.
And Scott, thank you so much for coming on to join us.
Yeah.
It was an experience. It was not at all what I expected. I'll admit to that.
And Scott's putting us all on the block list right now.
Scott's just not a listener, apparently.
It's not your average podcast guesting session. We'll say that much.
Yes.
Memorable. Memorable is a word that I would use to describe it. But no, really, I had a good time. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. And Ben, Scott, would you guys like to do some last minute plugs for the folks who stuck around all the way to the end?
Go listen to Geek Exploration, the podcast. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts.
And
not all I got going.
And if anything that I said tonight did not offend you out of ever wanting to hear anything that I wrote ever again, just go to Amazon, punch in Scott Meyer, and you'll either get books by me or this one guy who was a naturalist back in the 70s. But you'll be able to tell our work apart pretty easily, I think.
Either way, it's a win. Yeah.
You just missed a great opportunity to besmirch his legacy.
If you love my just by living my life.
Yeah. If you love my stuff, I'm me. If you hate my stuff, I'm him.
I've heard worse marketing strategies. All right, folks. Well, that was an episode of Side Quest. We'll be back next week with a regular episode of Authors and Dragons. Until then, bye.
Bye.
Bye.